Hey, welcome back everyone. Welcome back to our channel. My name is Carson and I am from Canada. Interesting thing, I just got back from Canada and that's what we're going to talk about today and the reverse culture shock. So let's get to it. Once you land and you get off the plane, there's an immediate couple of things you notice. And the first thing is kind of like the politeness. Like people from Japan, I don't know how they feel inside, but really you come off the plane, everyone's incredibly polite. They're bowing, they're saying thank you, and you get a sense of that politeness, even if you don't speak the language. But I get off the Toronto airport, everyone's very annoyed. So it's this sense of rushing. It's no one really wants to do it. No one wants to be there. So it's not a great feeling. It's not very friendly. And the second thing, which I think is the most obvious one, is the level of cleanliness. Now, to be fair, the Toronto airport I think is pretty clean, but it's only clean within the context and comparison of Canada. If you compare it to Japan, even the Shinjuku bathroom even has its terrible moments, it's still relatively clean. And seriously, the level of cleanliness, you can feel it the second you get into the main terminal or the lobby of the Toronto airport. So yeah, it's a big difference. You can feel it. So first I got reminded that this is a nice thing, is that in Toronto, no matter where you are, on the street, in the park, there's dozens, tens and 20, hundreds almost of garbage cans everywhere, right? You notice that when you live in Japan, there's no garbage cans anywhere. Yet for some reason, it's still dirty. And that's an immediate I wonder why it is. And I think I've lived here for so long that I've gotten used to bringing the trash home and taking that away. But yeah, that doesn't happen in Canada. Do I feel it's more noisy in Toronto? So I think it kind of depends on where you live. So I live in the suburb part in Toronto, close to think of it as Saitama or Chiba, something like that. So I think it's actually quite quiet. And in Tokyo, I used to live, near Ikebukuro or Shibuya. So I will say this, it's pretty quiet in both places. At nighttime, even on Omote-sando, unless you're on Cat Street or something, it's actually pretty quiet. So both places, I feel noise-wise, it's not a problem. But, and one thing I notice is, in downtown Toronto, things close pretty early. There's nothing that goes to 2 a.m. There's no 24-hour karaoke. So noise-wise, it's definitely not an issue, but I do miss how it's easy to go to a place in Tokyo where it's 24 hours or there's lights and it's live. The city has life. Toronto, yes, there are sections for that, but in general, downtown Toronto does close pretty much at 10 o'clock. So it's not really a thing. It's pretty quiet down there. What do I think about the food differences? So I did go back to visit my family with my partner, and she's Japanese. She could not get used to the food portions at all. Everything was double or triple the size than we're used to. We stopped by a very authentic place to get a burger. She could not finish that burger. In fact, I could barely finish that burger. I think I got used to the Japanese portions, which again, as you know, is much smaller. No surprise to anyone there. But I will give Canada one thing that I really did miss, and I still miss it today, is that in Japan, obviously the Japanese cuisine is amazing, second to none. And there are some other choices, Italian food, Canadian food, American food. But in Canada, because it's so culturally diverse, there's a little town for each culture. So you can easily get Greek food, Italian food, German food. There's a lot of places that do that type of stuff. So you can get any type of food anywhere. So I miss the diversity level aspect of that. Canada's done a great job of that. Do I act differently when I'm back in Canada? So I think obviously the answer is definitely yes. So English is my first language, and in Canada everyone speaks English. So when I'm in Japan, I guess I'm kind of a little bit more subtle because I can't really express myself. And even when I'm with my partner, I try to be more polite and friendly and more conscious of what other people think. But the last time I was in Canada was right after kind of COVID, so 2 years ago. And it's been a while, but I do feel a sense of home when I get there, despite what I said earlier, right? I speak English, I can read forms, I can read signs, I can talk to the waiter. So I just feel natural. I can be more aggressive with my tone and be more sarcastic. That's what us North Americans do. So I miss doing that, and I'm definitely louder. I definitely tell more jokes, but I think I actually like the Japan version of myself a bit more. I feel in Canada, I feel more of a need to entertain or a need to bring out my extroverted self to make sure the group laughs or make sure everyone feels and stuff like that. Or I think in Japan, because people like to kind of leave each other alone, I kind of just like to say my part and then I can be quiet, and because I don't speak Japanese, I can use that as an excuse to speak a little less. But yeah, I really do enjoy Japan more. It's a quieter version of myself. It's a more subtle version of myself that I do wish to embrace a little bit more and bring out more. So is there a difference between customer service in Canada and Japan? So, you know, there was a moment where I walked into the mall, and again, people in Canada are very friendly. Don't take it the wrong way. But there was this immediate difference of I wanted to buy a teacup, and the lady was very like hastily, very rushing me, like, just hold on there, I'll be with you. And that tone of like, just wait for me, not can you wait for me, is an immediate like, okay, I'm back in Toronto. Because I grew up there, I know they're not rude. They always feel rushed, and there's this vibe of they don't want to be there, and that I don't like. Where in Japan, super extreme politeness. Hi, thank you for coming in. Sumimasen, arigatou gozaimasu. Of that, like, I really enjoy that type of friendliness and politeness. I don't like feeling rushed. I don't feel like I'm annoying you or bothering you. But unfortunately, Toronto does have a sense of that. But that's the culture. Do I recommend people to go visit or to live in Toronto, Canada? So first, as a general philosophy, I recommend people travel outside of their country. You know, obviously this is my experience as a Canadian moving to Japan. I recommend every Japanese person I meet, or whoever, I go, leave your country, see how other people think, understand why they act the way they do, understand why they say the things they do. And it could really help you improve or just open your mind and understand other people more, right? Knowledge is power. To answer the question, I definitely think people should visit Toronto. It's a great part of Canada. It is beautiful. Toronto is a very multicultural place, and I think you'll appreciate just how diverse it is if you go downtown. Again, a lot of food options, a lot of job opportunities. They're very welcoming, despite some of the things I said. It's just a cultural gap. If you go there, you'll realize Canada is actually a great place probably for retirement. Very family oriented. You know, meetings stop at 5, and they give priority like healthcare and stuff like that. So it's a great place to retire. It's a great place to have your friends and family there. I recommend a visit. But if you're a workaholic, like working, it might be too family friendly for you. Okay, so that's all I have to say. That's my experiences for the reverse culture shock of going back to Canada and staying there for 3 weeks. Tell me what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like. Put the comments down below and I'll respond to them. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. I'm Carson, and thanks for watching. Bye. So first I got reminded that this is a nice thing, is that in Toronto, no matter where you are, on the street, in the park, there's dozens, tens and 20, hundreds almost of garbage cans everywhere. Right? You notice that when you live in Japan, there's no garbage cans anywhere. Yet for some reason, it's still